Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your keynote speaker, Richard Wright. I've been absolutely blown away every single time.
Overcoming challenges, I learned, means you need to overcome the thoughts in your head first. So my talk's all centered around how can you control your thoughts? How can you use the power of your brain? I've got brain cancer, yes I do. But the only way I can beat brain cancer is by understanding how to utilize my brain and unlock its potential. We're conditioned to believe that we can't change who we are. I am who I am. Well, no you're not. You can be anything you want to be. We start a year like this, full of aspirations and thinking how are we going to end it. We want to look back and we want to finish strong. You know, that's a thing, right? Finishing strong. But somehow, very few of us are good at change management within ourselves. Anything you want to change starts with a 5-second rule. If you don't do it within 5 seconds, not going to happen. You have these amazing thoughts. I could change my entire company if I could just do this. Well, start doing it now. You've got 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, you didn't do it. Oh, that's exactly what happens. The handbrake comes up. Whoops! I'm not going to happen. It doesn't matter how many times I tell the story, when you think of what goes through your mind and what goes through your head when you know you're not going to see another Christmas. What will you do with your time? You couldn't possibly become a more authentic version of yourself than when somebody tells you that your time on this planet has got an end date. Want more of what you've got? Do what you did yesterday. How do you change it? Change starts with what you think. And it starts with you want your year to have a different outcome? Start by booking me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Gentlemen.
Richard? Can you hear me there? For those of you out there that's wondering why we are laughing and smiling, it's amazing before we start how you start scurrying around. Richard, so you good?
I'm good. Good.
Liesel, you good?
Yes, all good.
Okay. Welcome everybody. Just quickly, we've had some questions regarding connectivity. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do regarding that from our side. It depends on your internet, where you are, what your download speed is, what your upload speed is, and all of that. I see yesterday there was a service provider that was down when we were up with Trevor in Fourways area. So I think that was the reason, because of a lot of that. There were some emails coming out afterwards saying the ISP was down on that side. So as much as we would love to give you the speed on that side.
I got a video.
Sorry, I'm just muting these people that we... Okay. So firstly, welcome to Be Right on Wednesdays. The response, once again, Richard, as you can see there, it's been amazing. It's phenomenal. Thank you to all the property professionals out there. Through these sessions, we give you the tools to get through times like this. I was saying to Richard earlier, it's now the halfway mark. Don't see the dark side of it. See it as it's giving us 2 more weeks to prepare for what's happening when we get out of here. Liesel from Greyvensteins Attorneys, you'll see her there as Ilse van Deventer at the bottom. But that's my other sister with my other sister sitting there. And therefore the reason us scurrying around behind the scenes and starting 2 minutes late. But all's good. We're all online. Liesel, and I think it's over to you then.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. And hello again, Richard and Cor. Sorry about that. I'm not Ilse van Deventer, but I would have loved to have said that I'm Ilse van Deventer because there was the technical glitch was on my side. But I am still Liesel Greyvenstein, and I'm the Liesel who made the mistakes. Apparently, I sent the wrong email out to a lot of you, so you were all registered as panelists today. So my apologies. I will have to go back and see why I made that mistake. But yes, welcome to everybody. Always nice to see you. Always nice to spend an hour with you guys. Thank you, Cor, for everything that you do behind the scenes. It really is a privilege for us to be a part of this, and the feedback has been absolutely amazing. It's so good to hear that you guys are enjoying this and that you are feeling connected and staying connected. So yes, tomorrow is Training Thursday, so we are preparing for that. We will see you at 2 p.m. tomorrow for that, but for today, something more exciting and more uplifting. Richard Wright. Let's be right with you on a Wednesday.
Thank you very much, Liesel, and thank you very much, Cor. And yeah, what a privilege again. And just thank you everyone online for the privilege and the gift of your time. And I really hope that I can return the gift of your time with a gift from me to you. So today we're doing a leadership resilience masterclass. And I think it couldn't be a more pertinent topic right now. I'm quite excited about today's session. We're going to build a lot on the last couple of weeks. But if you weren't there, it's okay. You'll catch up. You guys are smart. You're probably professionals. It's all good. So today how's this? I mean, this morning I thought, what do I have in my wardrobe? I've been wearing t-shirts. That's all I've been wearing. Nice, my branded ones. But I've got a brand new shirt. Look at this, brand new, never worn it before. And I thought, what a cool day to wear it. I even put decent pants on, matched my socks and my tackies. It's all good. I haven't got matching. No, I'm not wearing any. Just kidding. It's all matching today. I kind of figured this is a big occasion for me. So amazing to be in front of all of you. And let's see where we go. So I'm going to share my screen very quickly. I still haven't learned. I promised last time that I was going to learn how to share it and land on the right page. And it was already open, but I haven't learned that. What have I done in the last week? So just a quick question from me to you. You can answer within yourselves on a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is the best you've ever been and 1 is like kind of the worst you've ever been. How would you rate yourself right now? I'm not going to read them right now, but you're welcome to put them up on the chat as well. You guys can scroll through them and see where everybody else is at right now. I can tell you that today I'm probably around about an 8 or a 9. Yesterday, probably more a 3 or a 4. And it kind of, every day it's kind of different. So last week, we said it was day 11 something. And remember I said, if you want to see how you're doing in lockdown, just find your favorite pair of jeans, put them on, look in the mirror, and then or ask your significant other, do these jeans make my bum look fat? Apparently mine do, so my dog now has him. It's his birthday today, Loki. He's turned 2, and he can have all my jeans right now because none of them fit anymore. I think that this I saw today. It came through from Zapira. Just love this guy. And we've got new days of the week. I think that's just amazing. So today is what, Wednesday? When what? Who knows? Thursday, Bi-day, Scatterday, Sunday. Repeat the cycle till virus free. I've got no idea what day it is, what number day it is in the lockdown, and actually it doesn't matter. But talking about clothing, just before we start, I want this t-shirt because this is it's going to be so valuable because it describes exactly what's happening in my house right now. It's a Japanese word, kuchi sabishi, which is an adjective for when you're not hungry but you eat because your mouth is lonely. hoping that you don't suffer from the same affliction right now, but it's not helping me in my household. Right, so let's jump straight in. The only thing that is ultimately real about your journey is the step that you're taking at this moment, because that's all there really is. Eckhart Tolle. Think about that for a second. I told you last week, I gave the other quote that says that you cannot suffer the past nor the future because they are your memories and they are your imagination. And if you think about that, that's all we have right now is where we are at this moment in time. I'm sitting in Johannesburg. I'm looking out of my study window. It's a beautiful day, partly cloudy, but some blue sky. The grass is green. It needs to be mowed. And if I didn't know any better, I would think that today is just a normal average day, which it pretty much is if I stay in this moment. And we're going to talk about this moment quite a lot and about what it means to be a leader in this time. So before we go any further, let's just chat about the idea of being a leader. Every single one of us is a leader. We might not be leaders of big teams, big companies, big corporations, but we are, number one, a leader of self. We're a leader of ourselves, and that's very, very important. We're a leader of our families. We're a leader of friends, colleagues. Every single one of us is a leader because we are in control of who we are and how that impacts other people, which is really, really important right now. So leadership of self in a time of crisis. Look at that. That's a bullet going through a chunk of ice, and this explosion of everything that we thought was real, everything that we knew. And some of us are still grappling to let go of that past. I'm still here all over social media. If we can just go back to normal. I want to go back to the past. Wow, was it that great? I don't know. Had you got to the pinnacle of your career where you'd sold or rented out more houses than ever before, and you were happy with where you were at? Chances are no. Was your life spectacular? Was everything perfect? Did you not desire something more? Of course you did. So what an exciting place to be in terms of moving into the future. But that requires leadership itself. Said another way, how do you lead yourself through a crisis? Because only once you can lead yourself can you lead anybody else around you. And you've got people and communities that are looking to you as a property professional. You've got clients, you've got brands that are behind you, and people are looking at you and looking at how you are leading yourself through this crisis. And this, I think, is probably the most important word that we can embody and think about right now is resilience. And what does it mean to be resilient in a time of crisis? And those are just some of the things that we're going to explore today. So I would love it if once we're out of lockdown and once we're starting to transact again, that you can earn a medal and a leadership award. Imagine that. So what would it mean to earn a leadership award? And today I want to ask you 7 questions. Some of them, I read an article in Forbes, SWATs, and it's not Fines, sorry, it's Pines, spelled that wrong, the Energy Project. And I kind of based this talk or this masterclass on some of those questions, but none of the content. I used the questions and I put my own content in. So in terms of this crisis of the coronavirus, from a leadership point of view, what are the 7 questions that we should be asking ourselves? And I really think that every single one is pertinent. So the first one, number 1 is, am I skillfully managing my emotions? So as a leader of self, as a leader of people, I said to you last week that I've got 2 little girls in my household that are looking up to their dad for leadership. They're looking at me for an example as how does my dad handle a crisis? How does my dad handle a loss of every single bit of his income? For those of you in the first session, you know that my board up here was wiped out in the first 3 days of lockdown. So every single bit of work that I had lined up, my finance going forward just collapsed in 3 days. How does my dad handle that? How does my dad handle the stress? How does my dad handle having to negotiate something new? So just my 2 girls are looking at me for guidance. And how am I managing my emotions in that time? So what I need you to know is that you are the CEO, wherever you are right now. You are the Chief Energy Officer in your household, Chief Energy Officer of Project U. And what I need you to know that energy is more contagious than the virus. Think about that right now. Where you are in this silo, the energy that is running through your body right now, the energy that you're feeling, the energy that you're thinking, what you're doing, is 10 to 1 coming from the outside in. It's whatever you're being told, whatever you're reading, whatever you are seeing, whoever you're talking to, the WhatsApp groups you're on, the news. That is what is creating your energy, whether that's positive or negative. And then your energy is in turn extremely, extremely contagious. So are you managing that? And how are you managing that? So my girls have seen me go through some less than ideal moods. Deborah, my partner, has at times, I think, wanted to tear her hair out. There are times when, you know, we've bickered a little bit with each other. We've had some less than fabulous moments. And we've had to negotiate that. And that means taking responsibility for your emotions, which is, in essence, emotional intelligence. So if ever there was an opportunity for you to develop your emotional intelligence, it would be now. And the definition of emotional intelligence essentially is that convergence of the both sides of the brain. So the left and the right side of your brain, how they converge and how they mash together and mesh together, and whatever comes out. So emotional intelligence is saying that my rational brain says, I've got no income coming in, I'm sitting in the crisis, how am I going to get booked in the future? All the conferences I was booked to speak at are all gone now. That's the rational brain saying, oh my goodness, there's money, there's bills, those black and white box things. And then the emotion of that is then fear of the unknown, it's the uncertainty, it's anxiety, it's nerves, it's stress. And how do those two things converge, and what comes out? So what comes out of my mouth? What is the energy that comes out of my being? What do my actions look like? And that is essentially what emotional intelligence is. And people that have spectacular lack of emotional intelligence are the people that just say whatever they want, whatever comes out, and take no responsibility for what they say. And there are also people that don't test their emotions. They don't test what they think against a broad spectrum of ideas. To really test, you know, what am I thinking? Why am I thinking? How do I take responsibility for this? Is how do other people going to react and respond? And then those people are normally quite dismayed and disappointed when what comes back is not what they were expecting. And that's emotional intelligence that says for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So whatever you put out there, you're going to get more of. So I'd be very careful what you're putting out there in terms of your clients and your customers right now. And the fact that you should be communicating with them, but what are you communicating? Are you communicating the soft sell in these times, or are you communicating a hard sell? And we chatted about that last week, and my belief is that you shouldn't be hard selling now at all. It should all be a soft sell, and that's emotional intelligence. That's understanding where other people are at and figuring out how you can be the best version of yourself in order to meet them where they are at right now. And what we agreed on last week is that there are people out there right now in the property market that are in a world of pain. There are people whose lives are upended. They've got halfway through a transaction and they don't know if this thing's going to come to conclusion. Are they going to be able to move to the house that they've essentially purchased, but their house has got to move on? And then we're also hearing of some of the banks that are saying, hold on 2 seconds, the paperwork hasn't been signed yet, and there's an opportunity for us to relook at that loan and that agreement. And perhaps, you know, if the person's income is from an industry that has come to a grinding halt, maybe there's too much risk in giving that person a mortgage, or maybe we need to renegotiate that. So there are a bunch of people that are sitting in this real quagmire of negative thought, and the perception is that they are stuck. And if ever you need to be emotionally intelligent in order to be able to meet them where they are, now is that time. How are you managing your own emotions? So I'm going to tell you a very, very quick story. This is just after I'd had a brain op. You can still see there's some little bit of swelling around my eyes and some bruising there still. And it's one of the first times I managed to walk around the block, and took a picture with the two girls afterwards, like, woo, look at dad. He's just had a brain op. He's got brain cancer and he's made it around the block. And it was a tough time in my life. And going through radiation was really, really harsh. I had 35 treatments. It was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had a break over the weekend and then back again on a Monday for 7 weeks. And towards the end of the radiation therapy, I picked up the girls from aftercare. And I'm divorced, so I've got my girls for the 1 week and their mom's got them for the other week. And on one of my weeks, they went aftercare, and I tried to delay picking them up as long as possible just because of the pain in my head and the swelling, they couldn't go anywhere. And it was excruciating. I really, really took strain. And I picked the girls up late afternoon, and McKinnon, my eldest, who's on on the right-hand side of your screen, said to me, "Daddy, I'm really sorry, but I've got this project and it's due for tomorrow." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, what is it?" And oh man, I just don't know how we're going to get this thing done now. And she said, "Dad, it's the solar system. We've got to go to a craft shop and buy those polystyrene balls, and we've got to paint them all as the different planets, and then we've got to measure them out and put them in order, and then I've got to hand it in." I'm like, "Tomorrow?" "Yes, Dad." And she was very apologetic, and I'm like, "Well, for those of you parents, you understand that a project is the thing due for sometime in the future, and homework is the thing due for tomorrow." And somehow she had kind of missed it. And so, "What do you do?" And I said, "Okay, well, let's go and get this thing done." And I'll never forget this day. I live in Rand Park Ridge in Johannesburg, and we were traveling on Easterhout Road, Lifestyle Nursery on the right-hand side, crossing over Bayes Nordier, going to the Rand Ridge Mall. And I was slumped over the steering wheel, waiting for the robot to change, and just really taking strain. And this little voice piped up from the back, and it was McKinnon. And she said to me, "Daddy, are you okay?" And I said to her, "Sure, but I'm really taking strain. But you know what, let's just get this thing done. And then when I get home, I'm going to want to lie down and just try and get my breath back. I'm definitely not cooking supper tonight. It's going to be takeaways or deliveries. But we'll get this thing done." And there was silence for a little bit. And the next minute, the voice piped up and she said, "Daddy, nobody said it would be easy." She was 10 at the time. And to this day, I mean, we've chatted about this a lot. I still don't know where she heard that. And I sort of almost accosted her and said, "Mackie, but where did you hear that from? You know, you've never heard that from me before. Wow, where did that come from?" And she got quite apologetic, and she said, "Daddy, I'm really sorry, but I don't know what else to say." And number one, that's an extremely emotional, intelligent thing for a 10-year-old to say. But number two, that's the kick that I needed at that time to say, "Hey, baby, you need to step up, because if you continue being a victim of cancer, if you continue on this way, in this path, I don't think you're going to beat cancer. Somehow you're going to need to take responsibility for the thoughts, take responsibility for the outcome here." And as much as I thought that I was the cancer, hashtag cancer warrior, and doing everything I possibly could to beat cancer, because I was so focused on this obstacle, because I was so focused on the cancer, it actually made me more of a victim of cancer. And I know that a lot of you are doing exactly the same thing with coronavirus. It's become your focus. It's become all you think about. It's become what you watch on the news. It's become what you listen to. It's become, you might even be one of the people that can't wait for Friday because we're going to find out if we can get, have alcohol again. And all of that it's your focus is where you are right now and what's happened to you. And my news for you from my 10-year-old daughter at that time is, nobody said this would be easy. Nobody said life would be easy. And when we can accept that and move on and take responsibility for how we are feeling and our emotions, then things are going to change for us. So I implore you, number one, think about those emotions. Number two, what is my self-care plan? So it's such an old adage. I mean, it's overused and we know it, but it's just so valid at this point in time. When you're on an aeroplane and the flight attendant is going through the safety procedures, what he or she always says first is, "Hey, when the plane's in trouble, take the oxygen, put on the mask first, because only once you've helped yourself can you help your kids and the elderly and the infirm and whatever else." And that's exactly true right now. There's no ways that you can lead, whether it's in your family, that silo of your home, whether it's within your teams, whether it's within your companies, it doesn't matter where, in your community, there's no ways that you can lead until you've taken care of yourself. So my question to you today is, what is your self-care plan? So most of you know I'm an endurance athlete, and right now my training does not look like that. The last time I was out in the sunshine running around, for free in the suburbs or wherever was a while back. So, but that doesn't mean I can't exercise, and that's really important. So I'm trying to do at least an hour a day, and we're trying to do different things and being inventive. And if you run out of options, there are lots of things that you can do. But here are a couple of suggestions from me to you of things that I think you could be doing right now from a self-help point of view. So journal, that's really important. Writing is such an incredibly cathartic thing for you to do. So journal, take walks. Which if you can't walk, yes, you can. You can walk on your balcony, you can walk up and down your passage, you can walk to different rooms, you can it can be a virtual walk, it can be anything. And go online and look at those virtual game tours that we're seeing all over the place. Go on a virtual safari, go and take yourself somewhere. So maybe take walks and take yourself somewhere, whether that's in your mind and if you've got a garden, go and walk. If you've got a passage, go and walk. But get up, and just that idea of being active and walking is going to help you a lot. If there are a bunch of other people around you, go and take a walk with earphones in. Just have some time that's yours. Stop watching the news. This is the third week in a row I'm saying this, and I'm still seeing people that are sharing news. I'm still seeing people that just seem to be following everything. It's not helping you. It's not changing your situation. Think about it. Is there anything that you've read today? Is there anything you've read in the last week that's actually going to change where you're at right now? No. All you hear is negative stuff, really. I mean, that's what news really is. There's very little positive stuff. Put away your phone. I had a session yesterday with Pam Godding Properties in Greyvensteins, and Daphne shared. She's the franchisee there, and she shared about what she's doing right now, and I love it because this one is into the next one, getting rid of stuff. She says that she's tried so hard to live in the moment and live in the present time. And what she's done is every day she's tidied up a different room in her house, and she's tried to get rid of stuff. And I know how cathartic that is. The times that I've been told I'm dying, or the times I've tried to tidy up my house and tidy up my affairs, and that's really being an uplifting and empowering thing for me to do. And right now, there's nothing better for you to be doing. So tackle a room at a time, tackle projects, get rid of stuff. But while you're doing those things, put away your phone. And Daphne said that that's working for her, and I love that. That however, whenever she can, and for those of you who know Daphne the way I know Daphne, Daphne is one of those sorted. She's pro admin intensive. She's on it, and I don't think I've ever seen her send a mail and the instant reply pretty much. And she's changing that now to be more intentional about being in the moment. So I think we can take a leaf from her book. Seek solitude. You might be stuck in a flat with a bunch of other people. You can still seek solitude. I'm sure you get bathroom moments, make them long moments. Take your journal into the bathroom and sit on the loo and sit in the bath and journal. Just take time out, do whatever you can. And when you do, tell people that you're going to do that, if you can. If you're a single parent in a home with little kids, I know it's really, really hard. But hopefully when they're in bed at night, you've got a time that you can seek solitude. But it's really important that you just get some time out at this moment in time for you. Enjoy the small pleasures, just little things. For me right now, we've got one bottle of red wine left. That's it. So that's become our small pleasure. That's going to be this evening. And after that, well, it is what it is. Pace yourself. So what I did the first week, like a lot of you, I hit lockdown hard. I did all the exercises all together. And I went too hard, but it was a case of, this is how I'm going to get through lockdown. I'm going to exercise my way through lockdown. And I put everything up into Strava, and there's little patterns, little 9 running around the property and through the garage and through the house. And for the first 5 or 6 days, it was fabulous. And then it rained in Johannesburg and didn't stop for about 5 days. And at that point in time, my mojo went, woo! And it was largely because I actually hit the ground too hard, and I tried to push myself too hard, and I just went over the top. And I can be a little bit like that. And then last week, Thursday, when we had the announcement from President Ramaphosa, I was like, oh my goodness, okay, it's 2 more weeks. I expected that, but somehow it was kind of, I just had another week. And if I don't exercise so much, it's okay because I'll be out of here. And now it's another 2 weeks. So since then, I've exercised every single day, but I've done less. I've decided that an hour a day is enough, and half an hour a day is enough. But pace yourself. I think that's really important. Otherwise, there's burnout. Sleep. Sleep. That binge watching that you're doing of Netflix until you run out of series of one thing, stop doing that. Get your 7 or 8 hours. It's really, really important. It's incredibly important from a health point of view right now. So get some sleep, build a routine. I'm pretty sure you're already doing that. And then realize that you've got plenty. That's so cool. I listened to something last week about the average South African and the conditions that they live in, and just even having to queue for water in a time of coronavirus and gloves and masks and not having any of that. And I realized just even that, we really, really, if you're listening to this and you've got the connectivity to be online here, you have plenty, and count those blessings. So take time out. I recorded the video this morning. It's going to go live tomorrow. That's McKinnon's favorite mug. It says that I'm surrounded by idiots. I needed to take time out from the idiots around me, and I'm not talking about my partner, Deborah. Please don't tell her I said that. I'm talking about the news. I'm talking about the WhatsApp groups. I'm talking about the idiot that's me in my own head. Take some time out. So catch up with me tomorrow, and you'll catch that video. It'll be on social media, but take some time out. So number 3, am I overvaluing certain qualities? before I change the slide, I just want you to think very quickly in your mind right now, as a leader, what do you think the qualities are, the best qualities that you should be displaying right now? What are those favorable qualities that you should be displaying right now as a leader in a crisis? I'm going to give you 30 seconds, maybe jot a couple down or maybe think a couple, and go. In the meantime, I'm heading over to question and answer. Fareed, Alexander, that's not a question. It's okay. Are you guys? Grace, gratitude, servitude, calmness, courage, patience and understanding, love, support, man, restraint, empathy and gratitude, honesty, loving these, empathy, compassion, foresight and planning, optimism, to be neat and tidy, compassion, religion, humility, compassion, time, stay positive, care, believe, reaching out to my employees and encourage them, communication, positive empathy, resilience. Wow. Okay, so I dig those. Well done, guys. Well done. Keep them coming. I'm seeing a whole bunch of names that I know there as well, and that is so amazing. Some people from Kenya as well. Look at you guys. So here we go. Here's the traditional list. And now this happens whenever I open something else on my computer. Change slide, because you know you want to. There we go. So traditional leadership qualities: caring for others, confidence, strength, decisiveness, tenacity, urgency, toughness, results focus, and candor. So those are traditional leadership qualities. But right now, although I'm not knocking any of them, I think right now that there's some positive opposite qualities. So let's remove the question mark, and that's what we've got. Care for others, self-care comes first. Confidence, humility, strength, vulnerability. Can I tell you something? There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable enough to say, I don't know. When somebody says to you, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think the markets, what do you think, I don't know. And actually, it's quite good to admit that, because when you admit we don't know, we're open to learning something new. The minute we think we know everything, we will never, as a leader, we're never going to learn anything new if we think we know everything. So vulnerability is massive right now, and the humility to know you don't know everything. Flexibility, acceptance, patience, tenderness, reflectiveness, empathy. And well done, guys. I mean, a lot of those, exactly what you're putting there. And here's the coolest thing that's come out of this for me is empathy, humanity, being human, and how important that is, how vital that is. And somehow, it's like anything else, I guess. When something gets taken away from you, you realize how important it was, and you realize how much it meant to you, and you realize how critical it was. And right now, I think we've realized that despite the fact that we are racing into the digital age and the digital revolution and the fourth industrial revolution and artificial intelligence, all those things, what's truly important in our lives more than anything else is human connection. And as property professionals, that is your product. Remember that from last week. Your product is not property. You might be a property professional, but actually you're a human professional. Your product is you, and your product is all those things on the right-hand side there. Your product is self-care, humility, vulnerability, flexible. It's all of that stuff. So think about that. What are the things that you value more than anything else? And right now, it should be your ability to be a human being. Be a good human. So I've been through cancer. I've had to go on a journey of self-discovery. And I tattooed the words I am on my arm. And I've been adding to it. And right now, what an amazing opportunity. And it's not waste a good crisis. What a great opportunity for you to finish that sentence for yourself. If you had to tattoo words on your arm, or have a t-shirt, a white t-shirt, and I am, and then write words on your white t-shirt, what would those words be? And for a lot of people, they immediately say, I am a property professional, I'm a father, I'm a mother, I am a daughter, I'm a husband, I'm a wife, No. That is what you are. The question is, who are you? I am. And there's some words there that aren't fabulous. There's obsessive. Obsessive isn't necessarily good. There's needy. My girls have written things there on my arm as well. There's fallible. And somehow when we embrace the stuff that's less than ideal, the stuff that's less than fabulous, it enables us again to be more of the stuff we want to be, because we're a glorious conglomeration of every single human trait out there. You are of everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly, but you get to choose what you want to be. And what better time to start a page somewhere, put it up somewhere. I am. Trust me, it's harder than you think it is. And when you tattoo arms on your words on your arm, it's even harder, because that stuff doesn't come off. You can't be like, oh my goodness, I don't feel so formidable right now. Let let me rub that stuff off. You can't do that. It's there and it's permanent. So it's an amazing, amazing thing. I would encourage you at this time. I really would encourage you to use the time, journal. I am. Who are you? And why is that valid? How does that make you a leader? And what are the qualities right now that set you apart? Number 4, am I fearlessly challenging my fixed beliefs and assumptions? What did I believe was true of the world? What did I believe was true of my ability to transact in the world? What did I believe is true of my belief systems? If you're religious, you had a very, very, very different Easter Sunday. And how was that experience for you? And how did that impact what you've always thought and felt and experienced about that time? How does all of this, how does everything that's happening in the world right now make us feel and make us think? This thing is cross borders, it's cross religions, it's cross cultures, it's cross political ideologies. It doesn't respect any of that, and somehow it's pulled us all together in a way. And I think for a lot of us, it's really challenging who we are and what we believe, and that's good. So like me, you've spent your entire life trying to conform to a bunch of things, and what have you had to conform to? You've had to conform to what your parents wanted for you. Think about that. When you were growing up, you became who your parents wanted you to be. And when you weren't what your parents wanted you to be, normally it was like a snot club. It was like, hey, no, we don't do that. We don't do that. Not in this house. Yes, am I right? Yes. So you conform to your parents' ideas of this is the religion that you're going to follow. This is the ideology. This is who we're going to vote for. This is the language we're going to speak. This is where we're going to live. This is what you're going to wear. Now, you can't wear that. What do you mean you want to go out and wear? Yeah, you're going to Lake Knee. You can't wear that stuff. That's how you had to conform to your parents, just your parents. And then you went to school, and then you had to conform to the subjects that you took and the teachers and your friends. And some of you decided that you weren't going to conform. You're like, no, I'm going to rebel. And what I need you to understand is that you were rebelling towards something else, which is also conforming to something that wasn't what you were conforming to. So it doesn't matter whether you're rebelling or conforming, you're still conforming to an idea. It's somebody else's idea. And at what point in time does it become your own idea? At what point in time, varsity, you had to conform to become who you needed to be to attract your partner? What was that? And then, the job that you've currently got, or the job that you had, or the job that you want, or what an amazing time for you to sit back and say, but hold on 2 seconds. I have an opportunity here to be completely authentic, to be fearlessly authentic. I had that opportunity when I was told I was going to die. Because at that point in time, who cares? I couldn't care what people think of me because I was not going to make a difference in my life. I'm out of here. And it was an amazing gift. And I think right now, in the middle of a crisis, is a phenomenal time for you to sit back and say, I get to choose what I want to believe. And maybe I need to challenge. And that's scary because when we challenge everything we've held dear, I'm almost 50. And what if suddenly I realize that something I've thought for 50 years actually is a different way to do things or is a different way to think? That's really scary, but I would encourage you to do that because that's leadership. So this is one of my favorite videos. No, I took that video. I look at myself and I just want to laugh at myself. So that was earlier last year, and I was at the Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Think about that. The Victoria Falls, one of the 7 natural wonders of the world, right? And there I am with a trip with FMI, and it's an incentive trip, and I'm the speaker. And there were 47 of us there, and on this day, we were having a guided tour of the Victoria Falls. We're staying at the Livingston Hotel just next to the falls. What a treat. And on this day, after breakfast, we were due to go on the tour. And out of 47 people, there were only 4 that pitched up for the guided tour at the Victoria Falls. Why? Because it was raining. It was peeing down. It was torrential rainfall. So in other words, people didn't want to go and have a look at one of the 7 natural wonders of the world because they were going to get wet. So if you look at that video, you'll see, and you'll remember there's water coming from the back, water coming from up, water coming from the top. You can't even see the falls. There's water everywhere. You're going to get wet. In fact, to give you a poncho anyway, you are going to get wet, whether it's raining or not. And the amazing thing is, one of the curio sellers who was there on that day said to me, "You are so lucky." And I said to him, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, you're so lucky that you are here today." And I said, why? And he said, well, because if you were here on any other day in the sunshine, you would have to queue to get to where you're standing right now. And then where you're standing right now, you would literally have like probably 10 seconds to take a photograph, take a photograph, take a photograph, and somebody would say to you, okay, move on now. You've got the Victoria Falls to yourself, because I wasn't scared of the rain. So for me, it was a case of that was my day, and it was the only time I had. For the other people, they still had another day, and they were hoping to see it in the sunshine. But here's the thing. Very few people are ever going to get to experience the Victoria Falls the way I did. I took my shoes off. I was barefoot running around the Victoria Falls. And the reason people didn't want to go is because they were scared of getting wet. So I've got news for you. Remember last week when I told you that you are currently a survivor of absolutely everything that has ever happened to you in your life? And does the quality of your life reflect that? Remember that? Well, up until this point, you've got 100% of surviving being wet. But yet you don't want to go and see one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. Do you get that? How much of our thinking, how much of our preconditioning, how much of us conforming is somebody else's idea of fear or something? And most often it's a fear. So I want to challenge you, challenge your beliefs. Am I grounded in a purpose I can easily articulate? That's a great question. That's a wonderful question. So what is your purpose right now? The purpose, it's so important for me that I have recently, my screen's gone funny again. There we go. I've recently written a book. It's called The Power of Purpose. And the byline there is how to obliterate obstacles and triumph over impossible adversity. That's how important purpose is. And if this wasn't valid for right now, how to obliterate obstacles and triumph over possible adversity, you being trapped in your house for 5 weeks, not being able to sell houses, not being able to rent out houses, not being able to perform your functions, if ever there was a time where tapping into your purpose was important, it is right now. So unfortunately, my book is delayed. It was supposed to be on the shelves in May, and now we're looking at the end of June because of the lockdown, and that's okay. But my purpose is the following. My purpose is being able to share my story with as many people as possible. I call myself a transformative storyteller. And I kind of figure if I can just tell my story in a way that's going to help people to transform their thinking in just the tiniest little way, somehow I've enabled them to think differently, and their future is going to be different, and they're going to be able to change things about their lives. And every single one of us desire change. So that's my purpose. And it doesn't matter what the audience is. It could be corporates, it could be schools. This is Port Elizabeth Collegiate. To all the girls there, we had an incredible time, and the feedback was just amazing. And for me, just to look out over people and seeing them smile, because there's something I've been able to say that's been able to them to think a little bit differently, fantastic. So here is my challenge to you. Have you ever heard of that Japanese concept of purpose called ikigai? Here it is. So essentially, there are 4 different circles. The top circle is what I love. So in terms of following a purpose, following a direction in life, what do I love? The one on the right, what does the world need? The one at the bottom, what can I be paid for? And the one on the left, what am I good at? So what do I love? What does the world need? What do I get paid for? And what am I good at? Now, if you currently are doing what you love and the world needs it, but you're not getting paid for it and you're not very good at it, well, it's just a mission. You're on a mission, and that's great. Good for you. If you are just, you're really good at something and you get paid for it, well, all you then really have is a job. If the world needs it and you get paid for it, it's a vocation. If you're good at it and you're doing what you love, it's a passion. But where all of those things meet up is that sweet spot in the middle, and that's your ikigai. That's your purpose. And I can tell you that my ikigai is, it's huge, because right now I'm doing what I love. Right now the world needs it. Right now I can get paid for it. I'm not getting paid as much as I could be because everything's changed, but I've had to look at my model. It just means I need to do more of the same thing to more audiences and be paid less. And that's okay. And am I good at it? Well, you get to decide that. If you come back next week, then I'll know. And thank you very much to the, this is the largest audience I've ever in my life had the privilege of speaking to. 1,005 of you. You have any idea how that makes me feel? That's my purpose right there. Oof. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You just made my year, made my speaking career. Look at that, in lockdown, biggest audience I've ever had the privilege of speaking to. Who would ever have thought that? Who would ever have thought that? So moving on. What can I influence and what do I need to let go of? Wow, that's big. What are the things right now in your profession you need to let go of? What are the things you can influence? So we spoke last week about control, and this is different. So what you can control is a very small sweet spot. What I can influence is bigger, and then the things I've got no control over are even bigger than that. So let's take a look at that. Remember this slide from last week? I said in a triathlon, and the question that gets asked me a lot is, how did you get through a full Ironman triathlon with stage 4 brain cancer? And the answer was by controlling what I think and by controlling what I do. So all I can control at that point in time is what I think and my stroke. I focus on the actions because that's all I can control. But what is my influence in this? Is there any other influence that I have? And the answer to that is, yes, there's a lot of influence. Because what is influence actually? It's the power to affect connections, effect, impact. So at that moment, in fact, today, this came up today, it's a memory on Facebook. 2 years ago, I finished an Ironman, again with stage 4 brain cancer. And this is a picture that a friend of mine in the UK sent me. He was following my race. And here's the impact that I have on other people. Here's the influence. I raced for my little charity called Give It Horns for rhinos and unicorns, because every kid deserves to believe in the power of unicorns and the power of magic. And they had donated money and they were following my journey. And that was me on live TV. And they took a shot of that and then took a picture of it. And that's the influence, that someone in the UK was following my journey and donating money to Give It Horns. So that is, I think, is an amazing analogy. What could you be doing right now that influences other people in a positive way in the middle of a crisis? And that's me saying to you last week, how can I help you? That's what the question you should be asking right now, and prepare to serve. How can you be doing what you're doing right now and do for a profession, but at the same time have an impact on other people? At the same time, send out ripples into the community so that you're not just doing something that you've got control over, but you've got influence over something else. And you've got influence over other people's dreams, where they live, the house that they live in, what that journey looks like, that move looks like, how fluid that move is, what the legal transaction looks like, and how you hold their hands through that journey. That's massive, massive influence and massive impact. And it doesn't need to come to a grinding halt right now. In fact, right now there's opportunity to figure out how can I spread my impact over and above where I am right now in terms of this lockdown and this impasse in real estate transactions. And what an amazing opportunity to look at your business model and how you can impact and influence others. So what can you influence, and what are the things that you really, really, really need to let go of? So look at that guy on the screen. It's one of my favorite little things. Check out that guy, blink. So the word there is blink. And the question I want to ask you is, why do we blink so frequently? Just think about that. Why do you blink so frequently? And right now, whether you're trying not to blink or whether you're not thinking about blinking, you're blinking more than you've been blinking since you got up this morning. I can guarantee it. And the only reason you're blinking right now is because I put the idea of blink in your head. We heard on Monday from Robin about how important it is to choose your thoughts, because nobody can choose for you. So I agree with him. It's important to choose your thoughts, but I don't agree that people can't choose for you, because right now I just chose your thoughts. And the thought I've chose for you is blink. I've just made you all blink just because I put a picture of a blinking guy and the word blink there. So what I want you to be very, very careful of at this time is to choose what you choose to think and what you choose to allow other people to influence in your way of thinking. Again, stop following the news. Stop listening to negative people. Stop listening to people's, in fact, I wouldn't want you just to follow one person's idea of what they think real estate is going to look like in the future. I want you to look at the people who think negatively, look at the people that think radically optimistically, like myself, and I want you to take all of that on board and then think how you can relate and think how you can figure that out for yourself, but based on a whole lot of different things. Choose your thoughts and figure out what you can dump and what you can influence. But I need you to understand the power of your thinking and how whatever you're thinking, you're going to attract more of. You're blinking more now than you've been blinking all day. And you've been blinking since you woke up this morning. Only you've never thought of it once because you didn't think blink. Yet your brain was aware of the fact that you were blinking, and the brain was aware of every single time that you've been blinking. You just didn't make your brain aware that your brain was aware of what you were thinking. Do you understand how much power you've got to influence your actions? Because remember, Your thoughts determine your perception determines your reality, and your reality determines your actions. So if you want your actions to change, you need to choose those thoughts very, very wisely. And then the last one, number 7, am I the epitome of grit? And I think as leaders right now, if ever there was a time you needed to be the epitome of grit, it would be right now. And what is grit actually? Grit is guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. That really, I think, is an amazing definition, and it's all the letters right there: guts, resilience, initiative, and tenacity. But at the end of the day, I believe that grit is a lot more important than a high IQ. I really do, because having an IQ doesn't mean very much if you're not prepared to like really guts it out, and if you don't have any resilience, you don't have initiative. And initiative and IQ are very, very, very different things. So I want you to get out of your comfort zone. And if you're still sitting in a comfort zone, I don't know where you're sitting right now, because I think the rest of us left that comfort zone behind a long time ago. But get out of your comfort zone. Remember last week when I said to you that your comfort zone is this, and on the outside of it is where magic happens. Right now, there's no comfort zone, which means that we are firmly in this place where magic happens. And you'll see that there's no safety net. Dump the safety net. That's what grit is. The grit is saying, I'm going to dump the safety net. I'm going to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm just going to take that journey. We're all going somewhere we've never been before. We're traveling somewhere we've never been, a route we've never been before. And how amazing. Get out of your comfort zone. And then what I think is really, really important, and this is grit. None of that other stuff matters. None of the other stuff we've chatted about leadership matters unless there is action. Leadership is action. Leadership is action. So this is me in action. It's at one of the worst times in my cancer journey. It's Ironman Wales. And I chose Ironman Wales on purpose because it is one of the hardest Ironman races on the planet, one of the 2 hardest Ironman races on the planet. And the day I was there, it was apocalyptic conditions, the worst conditions they've ever had. It rained almost the entire time. I was about to finish the marathon when a little bit of sun came out, and then the sleet came down again. It was brutal, brutal, brutal. I walked more of that marathon than ever before, and I suffered. I really, really suffered. But that's what grit is. Grit is action. For me, it was, if I can do this thing, if I can complete one of the hardest Ironman races with stage 4 brain cancer, oh my goodness, I can beat brain cancer again. If you can get through this, you can do anything. Trust me. If you can survive this. So we're going to look back. And you'll remember, and I think this is a good time to remind you, if you were tuned in last week, I said to you, I'd love you to take a walk with your future self. And if you could take a walk with your future self in about 6 months from now and a year from now, project yourself 6 months from now or a year from now. And I had to ask you the question, how proud were you of the leader you were during that lockdown and during the pandemic at that time in April? How proud are you of the leader you were at that time? And if you had to look back to how you have conducted yourself, how you've been as a leader over the last 3 weeks, what would you say? Would you say, step aside, Cyril, that medal that we saw in the beginning, the leadership award, that's me? Or do you know what, that the clapping audience, that wasn't for me, because I really think I could have done better. And if your feeling is right now that you could be doing better, well, you've got an opportunity, haven't you? And if that feeling is, yeah, that award is mine, do you think you could earn a distinction in leadership? Do you think that you can earn a distinction in emotional intelligence? So there are a couple of questions in the poll. Please answer those as well. But I would really, really urge you that right now, action is everything. What are the actions? What is your plan of action right now as a leader? And how are you displaying leadership of self right now? So I'm going to leave you with a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, and I love this. What lies behind you and what lies in front of you pales into comparison to what lies inside of you. You have everything you could ever possibly need to be the very best leader of self throughout this time. 7 questions I'm going to leave with you, 7 questions that demand an answer from you. I really hope that this has helped you to just think a little bit beyond where you are right now into how can I use this time to become better? Because what's the point of surviving a crisis like this if it didn't make us better? If this time we didn't spend in thinking about how we can become better human beings, how we can thrive through this time, what a wasted opportunity. I know this for a fact. You already are equipped with everything you possibly need. You just got to tap into that inner leader and be the leader that you want to be. So thank you so, so much for your time. I'm going to stop sharing now. Please, if you haven't already connected with me, connect with me. Look out for that video tomorrow. It's a cool one. And let me share a journey. In fact, I put a video out to a company that I'm doing a journey with. A video every single day for 10 days. It's called Coffee with Richard. And I just recorded one today. It was in black and white. And the reason for that is because I said that we are the color in everybody else's lives. That sitting in isolation, in this black and white monochrome, it's the interactions that we have with the people around us. It's the stories that we are seeing, the stories that are being shared. That is the color that's coming into our lives. And me being able to share a little bit of my story and me following their stories is what brings the color. So please be a bit of color in my life. Please bring the color to my life by following me, by sharing your journey. And we're going to get through this thing together because we are stronger together. And that's exactly why Greyvensteins and Deventer have been putting these Wednesdays together to enable us to be stronger together. So to Liesel and Cord Arnaud, thank you so, so much for the privilege. Thank you for what you are doing for the community of property professionals. We salute you and honor you and think that you are absolutely marvelous. Thank you very, very much.
Richard. Let's wait for Liesel. Okay, we overloaded the system there, guys. Richard, apologies for those. I think there might have been 1 or 2 people that couldn't have logged in. But Richard, I think with your permission, I'll share a link to some of the participants that couldn't log in, just for them to see this. So I think by the end of today, whoever did not see the presentation, I will forward them the link and they can see it. And we can all share in what was partaken by you today. To all of you out there, thank you so much for participating. The feedback that we can see has been amazing. The polls, Richard, I just put 1 or 2 quick questions up there. Did you make your bed today? I don't know if you saw that. A lot of people, I think about 99% said yes, and they're off to a flying start. And the other people said they're feeling like Einstein and ready to go and reinventing themselves. It was just 2 quick questions that I put up there. The response was amazing on that. So yes, people are making their beds the first thing in the morning. To Liesel Greyvenstein from Greyvensteins Attorneys. For those of you that don't know, it's my sister and Ilse. So thank you so much for that. And then look out for tomorrow, guys. I think we'll increase the capacity on the platform on the webinar. We specifically do it on a webinar for safety reasons, to prevent some weirdos logging in and causing havoc. So that is the reason why we have that. I tried to stream on Facebook. It also wouldn't allow me to do that. So behind the scenes, we were running around. Liesel, if you want to talk quickly on what you will be discussing tomorrow during your legal session, it is at 2 o'clock. Am I correct?
Yes. Mm.
Okay. If you also want to talk about that.
Yeah. Okay. So just in short, what we will address tomorrow will be sellers who sell with shortfalls on their bonds to be cancelled. What the clauses are that we have to use when we do work with these sellers that give us mandates to sell their properties where we know it will be very difficult for them to actually fetch what they need to cancel those bonds. So yeah, distress sales, a little bit around that, and I think it's relevant once again. So if you have any questions before the time, you're most welcome. Send us your questions so that we can address what you actually need to hear tomorrow. But yes, tomorrow at 2 p.m. we are ready.
Okay, from my side, Liesel, once again, thank you. Richard, you've been amazing. Liesel, I don't know if you want to have the final word and just switch us off, and then I'll
do the necessary.
Yeah.
Yes, Richard, a big thank you. It's always a pleasure listening to you. Everything you said rings true. I know that the power is within us all to make this a time to remember. And I think that's what really got to me today. We will always look back on lockdown. We will always remember this time. And it's important that we realize that how we act now will determine what our memory is of this very important time in our lives. So thank you very much for sharing your wisdom and your grit. I love it.
Thank you so much. And to all the comments, looking at all the comments from the chat, wow, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And Liesl, yeah, if ever there was leadership being demonstrated, it's you guys just taking the initiative in times like this, and well done again from me to you. Well done. Really quite something. Looking forward
Thanks, Richard. Thank you, everybody. Goodbye from me.